Insomniac's Spider-Man did insanely well, and there's no way we don't get a sequel to this game. We hit up Twitter, message boards, and forums to see what fans want and what they don't want in a Spider-Man sequel. Today in gameranx, here are 10 things players don't want in a Spider-Man sequel. Just a heads up, there will be some spoilers in this video, so just keep that in mind as you continue to watch. Starting off at number 10, next time around, since the original game was a success, we'd love to get a better glimpse at a potential Marvel game cinematic universe. Maybe show us some other Marvel characters, even just a scene with one of them could be good enough for us. This is a weird example, but think about how well the Punisher game on PS2 and Xbox pulled off the Marvelverse. Characters like Iron Man would show up when it made sense, and it was really cool. Insomniac and Marvel would be silly to squander the potential. Next, number 9, this is a big one, and it's also a given because any good sequel is going to improve upon the original. But we'd love more abilities and uses in web swinging. More contextual stuff, like when you swing low to the ground, maybe Spidey touches the streets. The ability to shoot 2 webs at once would be cool and much appreciated. And maybe some Just Cause gadget style webbing stuff. Maybe more control over swinging overall, some tweaked physics, and more direct control. That's easier said than done though, because the game feels pretty great, but if we could get it even closer to how the original Spider-Man 2 or Web of Shadow swinging felt, in some ways that would be great. And at number 8, co-op could be a decent thing, so long as it doesn't affect the flow of the game as a solo player. That's huge. It just can't feel half-assed or thrown in. Co-op is almost a no-brainer, as you can get a Miles Morales, Peter Parker training team-up thing that would be really cool, but we just wanted to see it done right. It could be fun not only in combat, but also just swinging around the world together. I wouldn't mind swinging around with a friend. Bonus points for combined swing and maneuvers and finishers to net you extra experience points or something. Just don't screw it up if you're gonna do it. Starting off at number 7, the version of Manhattan that Insomniac crafted for the first game is phenomenal. It somehow manages to nail the feel of New York in ways that I don't think I've ever truly seen a game do before. It really is a huge achievement in world building and environmental design. That being said, we don't just want a retread of the same exact environment for a sequel. Personally, I'd be down with them keeping Manhattan more or less, as is if they expanded the game outward. Give us Staten Island, Brooklyn, and even Queens, where Peter Parker is actually from. Those types of expanded areas would still give a decent amount of swingable terrain, and you can, for the most part, avoid having a situation like that one in Spider-Man Homecoming where Peter has nothing to swing from and is just running through a field like some idiot asshole. If expansion is out of the question though, they could always have some sort of world-altering event that would reshape the existing map in an interesting way. That way we can still have the same world, but it wouldn't be totally rehashed. I don't know, I'm not a game designer. Moving on to number 6, if you've played the Spider-Man DLC, you know how annoying Screwball can be. Not only is she annoying, but so are the challenges that she gives you. It's almost like they're purposely designed to piss you off, and it seems like she's also designed to piss you off as well. For lack of a better term, she's pretty cringy and obnoxious, and I think she could be toned down just a bit. I love getting smaller characters thrown into the game, keep doing that, that's awesome, but maybe just don't have Screwball make an appearance again. That's really all I'm asking. Thanks. Moving on to number 5, this is more of complaining, really, but is there any chance we could just get less RPGs in the next game? Different enemy types are good, and they're important to kind of change up the gameplay and keep you on your toes, but no, fuck these guys. Having an awesome combo going, taking out enemy after enemy, only to have it ruined by some dickhead with an RPG that's not even on the screen is just so frustrating. The same can kind of be said about the snipers too, but I'd argue that even compared to the RPG wielding dudes, they're fine. They're totally okay. Also, how is it that all these dudes have RPGs? Yeah, they're criminals, but I feel like there are a lot of RPGs just floating around Manhattan in the Spider-Man universe. Coming in at number 4, I think this next one is a given, and it also was not at all a problem in Spider-Man, and that's microtransactions. Yeah, we know we don't want any microtransactions in any games, we get it, we feel the same way for the most part, and we would hate to see Insomniac start to charge for suits like outside of a DLC pack. Having the suits attached to what is essentially an expansion is fine, I think. I'm talking about like charging per suit. The way they've been giving out free suits is really cool, and they're giving out really cool suits too. I mean, we got the Raimi suit and the Future Foundation suit, both for free, and that's awesome. I honestly don't think that Insomniac is gonna start charging per suit. This would be like the complete opposite of what they've been doing. We're referring to it more as like a hypothetical worst case scenario, but I'm like 99% sure that we're in the clear. I really don't think Insomniac's gonna start doing that. Moving on to number 3, while we're on the topic of suits, I see a lot of people online hoping that we don't get a lot of the same suits in the next game. The suits we have now are really cool, but no one wants to swing around in the same old stuff for a second game. Thankfully, Insomniac has a ton of suits to work with. Spider-Man has a suit for every day for the next few years at this point, so they won't run out of suits to use. I don't know, this might come off as complaining a bit, but we got a damn near perfect Spider-Man game, and I just want to see it get even more perfect. And next up at number 2, there's a lot to love about Spider-Man, but man, the stealth sequences were not one of them. They generally went on for way too long, and the fail states were more than a little frustrating at times. That said, the characters they used to step into the shoes of were great, and while we sort of know where we're going with Miles, we definitely don't want them to cut the Mary Jane stuff altogether, because MJ kicks major ass, and we want to see her do more interesting stuff in the sequel. Like if maybe instead of going with stealth sequences, they focus more on the investigation aspect of things, digging through environments and doing puzzles and stuff. That would be a really cool direction to go in, no doubt. Think of like how Batman does his investigations in the Arkham games. Can you imagine that here? That would be awesome. And finally, at number 1, look, the ending of the first game sucked for Peter. It was a bombshell that should affect him going forward. Even with the stuff with Miles progressing in the story, he's accumulated some really heavy emotional baggage, and he needs to carry that weight. There are so many great superhero stories where a hero has to handle his shit with a previous trauma while moving forward and kicking bad guys' asses. Think Iron Man 3, one of the best entries in the MCU. So if Insomniac can nail that type of vibe, they could really do some interesting things with the development of Peter Parker as a character, especially considering he would be dealing with that while taking Miles under his wing and having to teach him how to be Spider-Man despite his personal battles. The biggest misstep I can see is them putting this game too far ahead of the first one and just having all wounds be healed for Peter and him just swinging through the world as if nothing happened. It would make that scene less impactful and would really just not give the sacrifice the respect and weight that it deserves. And those are 7 things we don't want in a Spider-Man sequel, but we want to hear from you, so meet us down in the comments and let us know what you think. What are some things you definitely do not want to see in the next game? And maybe what are some things that you want to see in the next game? Let us know. As I'm sure you already know, hitting that like button really helps us out, and if you're new here, subscribing is a good idea, because we put up videos like this every single day. As always, thank you for stopping by to hang out with us. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.